Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and thank you for joining me today as we dive into a major roster shakeup for the Dallas Cowboys that is already sparking headlines across the NFL world. The Cowboys have officially signed center Wesley French, and this move comes at a critical time following the injury to rookie Cooper Beebe, who was set to play an important role in the offensive line this season. Cowboys fans are buzzing with questions right now. What does this mean for the future of the offensive line? How serious is Beebe's injury? And what exactly does French bring to the table? We're going to break it all down in detail and give you a complete look at what this roster move really means for the team as they continue preparing for the season ahead. The Cowboys' offensive line has always been one of the key cornerstones of the franchise, and if you look back at the history of this team, you'll see that success often started up front in the trenches. That's why the news of Cooper Beebe's injury sent shockwaves through Cowboys Nation. Beebe, who was expected to provide versatility and stability in the interior of the offensive line, had shown promise with his toughness, football IQ, and ability to anchor in both run and pass protection. Losing him, even temporarily, is not just a setback on the depth chart, it's a disruption to the chemistry that this line has been trying to build throughout training camp and preseason action. So, the Cowboys front office had to act quickly, and they wasted no time in bringing in Wesley French to fill that void. For those of you who might not know much about French, he's an intriguing addition to this roster. Standing at 6'4" and weighing in at over 300 pounds, French is built for the role of a center in the NFL. He came out of Western Michigan as a versatile lineman who could play both guard and center, making him a valuable piece for any team looking to bolster depth on the offensive line. While he has spent most of his NFL time as a reserve player, bouncing around practice squads and depth charts, he has earned a reputation for being coachable, tough, and ready to step up when his number is called. And let's be honest, sometimes those under-the-radar signings are the ones that surprise everyone by carving out meaningful roles when injuries open the door. Now, let's talk about why this move is so important. The center position is absolutely critical in football, and not just because they're snapping the ball to the quarterback. The center is often the brains of the offensive line, tasked with making line calls, recognizing defensive fronts, and ensuring that protections are set up properly. With Dak Prescott under center, the Cowboys need someone who can deliver clean snaps, communicate effectively, and maintain poise under pressure. Losing Cooper Beebe means losing a player the coaching staff had confidence in developing into that role, but with Wesley French, they get a player who already has some professional experience and knows the speed of the NFL game. Another layer to this story is how it affects the overall roster construction for the Cowboys moving forward. Injuries are an unfortunate reality in the NFL, and depth is often the difference between a team collapsing or pushing through adversity. Last season, the Cowboys learned the hard way that even one weak spot on the offensive line can disrupt the entire offense. Signing French is about more than just replacing Beebe, it's about ensuring that the team isn't caught off guard if further injuries happen down the stretch. Having another body who can step in and contribute keeps the offense functional and gives the coaching staff more flexibility in how they manage the line throughout the season. Cowboys fans know all too well that Dak Prescott has taken some big hits in the past, and the last thing anyone wants to see is the quarterback under constant duress because of breakdowns at the line of scrimmage. Protecting Dak is priority number one, and it's clear that Jerry Jones and the front office understood that they could not afford to gamble with the depth at center. Wesley French might not be a flashy signing, but in terms of importance, this move could end up being a stabilizing factor that helps keep the offense moving. Remember, the Cowboys have invested heavily in their skilled players. CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, and Tony Pollard are expected to be dynamic weapons, but none of that matters if Prescott doesn't have time to deliver the ball. The timing of this move is also worth discussing. Training camp and the preseason are all about evaluating talent and building chemistry, so bringing in French now gives him valuable reps to get up to speed with the system before the season kicks off. Offensive line coach Mike Solari will need to get French acclimated quickly, but this is where the Cowboys' culture of preparation and adaptability can shine. French doesn't need to come in and be a star, he just needs to be reliable, consistent, and ready to step up when called upon. If he can do that, this signing will be considered a quiet success. But here's where things get really interesting. What happens when Cooper Beebe gets healthy? Will the Cowboys stick with French as a backup, or will Beebe reclaim his role immediately? These are the types of roster battles that define a season. Sometimes, when a player like French is given an opportunity, they play well enough that the coaches have a tough decision to make. That competition can elevate everyone's performance, and in the end, that's good news for the Cowboys. It ensures that no one is getting too comfortable and that every snap is earned. From a fan perspective, this move also highlights just how unpredictable the NFL can be. A week ago, most Cowboys fans probably weren't even thinking about Wesley French, and now he's suddenly a name you're going to be hearing a lot more about. That's the beauty and the challenge of this game. You never know whose number is going to be called, and sometimes the guys who start out as depth pieces end up being unsung heroes. For French, this is the biggest opportunity of his career, and you can bet he's going to do everything he can to prove that he belongs in Dallas long term. Looking at the bigger picture, the Cowboys continue to show that they're not afraid to make moves when necessary. Some teams hesitate or drag their feet when injuries strike, but the Cowboys acted decisively here. That's a sign of a front office that is laser focused on competing right now and understands that every piece of the puzzle matters. With the NFC shaping up to be highly competitive, the margin for error is razor thin, and Dallas knows that they can't afford to fall behind because of issues on the offensive line. It's also worth remembering that the Cowboys have one of the most passionate and vocal fan bases in the NFL, and roster moves like this always ignite discussion. Some fans are excited about French's potential, while others may be skeptical, wondering if the team should have gone after a more established veteran. That's part of the debate that makes football so engaging. Every move is scrutinized, every decision analyzed. But in the end, the results on the field will determine whether this was a smart signing or not. As the season approaches, all eyes will be on how this offensive line gels together. With Tyron Smith and Zach Martin as the veteran anchors, and now the addition of French into the mix, there's a blend of experience and youth that could be very effective if it comes together properly. Continuity is key, and while losing Beebe disrupts that a bit, the signing of French is designed to steady the ship and keep things moving in the right direction. In the coming weeks, fans should watch closely during practices and preseason games to see how French performs. Does he show good communication with Dak? Is he holding his ground against the Cowboys' defensive front in drills? Does he look comfortable in the system? These are the questions that will ultimately shape how much faith the coaches have in him once the regular season begins. One thing is certain, the Cowboys are not standing still. This roster move is proof that they are staying aggressive and proactive in addressing needs, and that mindset is exactly what it's going to take if Dallas wants to make a deep playoff run this year. Every detail matters, every position matters, and adding Wesley French is another step toward building the kind of complete roster that can withstand the grind of an NFL season. So Cowboys Nation, buckle up, because the ride is just getting started. Injuries are going to happen, roster changes are inevitable, but it's how the team responds that defines their season. Signing Wesley French after Cooper Beebe's injury may not be the biggest headline move of the offseason, but it could be one of those decisions that quietly makes a huge impact down the line. That's all for now on the Cowboys' latest roster move, but I want to hear from you. Do you think Wesley French can step in and hold down the center spot if needed? Are you confident that the offensive line will hold strong despite Beebe's injury? Drop your thoughts down below because this conversation is just getting started. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the Cowboys' latest news, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss any updates, breakdowns, and analysis throughout the season.